Hello everyone, my name is Michaela Sanders, or better yet known as Kayla's Guide, and today I have the pleasure and opportunity to sit down and have an interview with Mr. Timothy Stewart, or better yet known as TalkManTalk.
What's happening? How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here, and it's such a pleasure and an honor to sit down with the new next top model, Kayla's Guide. Yeah, what's going on?
Thank you. It's going. Modeling's cool, just showcasing your talent on the runway or in front of the camera is always a great pleasure.
Yeah. I've seen some of your work, quite a bit of your work, and what I see is you sharing your gift with the world. You've discovered your gift. I see you practicing your gift, training your gift, and now you're serving your gift to the world. That's what I talk about. That's what my whole program is all about.
So, that's what you've been doing.
Absolutely. That's why I'm here.
Right. Okay, so tell us what's been going on with the TalkManTalk since your previous interview where you shared your story with the world.
Oh, wow. Man, that was probably maybe 10 years ago, and when I initially discovered my gift as a speaker, and I created the identity TalkManTalk, speaking to inspire. I was told that if I wanted to really become recognized as a speaker, as a subject matter expert, I had to write a book. And really, writing was really not my gift, my forte. You can wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, stand me in front of 3,000 people, give me a microphone, and I'll get down like James Brown. I'll do my thing, right? But writing, okay, but that's not my gift. So I said, well, I do want to speak. That's what I know I want to do, right? At 45 years old, I discovered my purpose was to speak and share information. That purpose created a passion. That passion was generated by a vision, right? My purpose in pictures. And so I said, okay, I'm going to write this book. So I sought out to write this book, and I quit twice. Took me 5 years to write this book. And so since that initial interview where I talked about my story, I am now a published author of the book, Free Yourself from Yourself. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of this book. And I'll tell you, I read some books where people had written to become an author, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to just write a book so I could say I'm an author.
Right.
I really wanted to put some information together that someone could pick up the book and really get some information, whether they were a 10-year-old person or a 65-year-old person. And that was the challenging part. And I had some great coaches to help me put the book together, but I'm very proud of it because in the first part of my book is a memoir. And I talk about my story. I'm very transparent about how I live. And then in the second part of the book, I talk about the principles that I learned, gain an understanding to apply in my life and how they changed my life. And I refer back to my memoir. And it's actually a workbook. There's some pages at the end of each chapter so a person can get the book and they can actually make the book their own. I have listed some pages, left some pages open so that they can write their notes in the book. So you can make this book your own book, right? So yeah, other than that, I have what generated from that was, and I had no idea, Kayla, the principles, the posters that I am now distributing and promoting, the 12 principles, right? Mm-hmm. These 12 principles that I talk about in my book that now have taken on a new vision of mass distribution of these principles. We live in a society today that there's a lot of unrest, a lot of uneasiness. We've got kids, we have kids killing kids in school, and we've got to do something about that. And I didn't know this when I initially discovered my purpose, decided to write a book, that I would be distributing these posters, these principles around the school, the Free Yourself from Yourself, 12 Principles to Inner Peace posters. And so I'm really excited about it. And how this kind of came about was I was speaking with a teacher, and there was 2 kids that OD'd in our town, in our community, and 14, 15-year-old, right, OD. And I was speaking with a teacher, and I asked her, I said, what is your process? If you notice a young person, you smell the weed on them, or you see them nodding in class, what's your process? How do you address that? And she said, we really don't have a process. And I said, that's a tragedy. We can do something different. We live in the information age. We can put a process together to help stop this person from destroying their lives and the lives of the people that they love. Because I did that. I hurt people in my family. Not only did I hurt myself, it was hard on my family as well. But April of this year, I celebrated 18 years clean and sober. And so I'm really, really proud to now be able to share my experience, strength, and hope with other people who may be dealing with similar dilemmas.
And you should be proud of yourself. Did you ever feel like you were going to give up? Or were there times where you felt discouraged, like you weren't going to make it?
Well, I went through rehab 12 times. I went through rehab 12 times because, and that's a great question. And here's why. Because I thought the drugs and the alcohol were the problem. And once I discovered that the drugs and the alcohol weren't the problem, I got to the root cause. See, addiction really, when we look at what's going on in our society, killings, mass murders, addiction, divorce, those are signs. Those are symptoms. And a symptom, we can tell a symptom by a sign. But a problem is created by a cause. And the cause is the same thing with me. That's why these principles that I promote, that I practice, that I coach, they are valid for the boardroom, the locker room, the living room, the classroom, even the bedroom, right? These principles are valid in every room because the most powerful, the problem was a lack of self-government. Self-government is the most powerful government on this planet, right? And that was the original intent from our Creator, that we would self-govern ourselves. Because a person who governs themselves doesn't need policing.
Right.
Yeah. The other problem is we don't know who we are because we haven't discovered our purpose. So that's what that is my goal and my mission, my passion, to help people discover their purpose. Because here's how it goes. Everything, Kayla, understand this. Everything was created for a purpose. It is the cause of creation. Within that purpose, embedded in that purpose, is potential. I call it a gift. The inherent capacity to fulfill a function that meets a need in creation. We call that potential. So the purpose has built in it potential. That purpose and potential is protected by principles. Right? So we can even discover our gift, not have our purpose, not understand what our purpose is, and that creates frustration. Right? If we have the purpose and we have the gift without the principles, that causes destruction. You've seen it. People have tremendous gifts. They've discovered their purpose. They're very famous. But because they lack the self-government, the principles to protect that potential and safeguard their purpose, it leads to destruction.
And that's always a downfall on someone all the time.
Absolutely.
But it seems like you've created an amazing vision. So what's next on the horizon for you? How do you plan to push this vision past your limits?
Well, this is, you agreed to meet with me and interview me to get my message, help me get my message out. I really see these principles, these posters right here. I'm looking to get these posters up in schools. I just did a training for a school district, my hometown school district. So very proud that they allowed me to come in and do a training, and they've ordered over 50 of my posters to put up around the school. So what happens is these principles are seen on a regular basis. And another principle kicks in, faith, confidence, because we see these all the time. Honesty and hope and faith and courage, integrity, willingness, humility, discipline, forgiveness, acceptance, awareness, and gratitude. These principles are designed to become habits. See, we don't dictate our future. We decide our habits, and our habits dictate our future.
Right.
So we want these principles of self-government that protect potential or gift to become habits. These principles will create a healthier, safer society. And in the school systems that we have now, these principles have the power to change the culture in those communities, right? So these are laws. And a principle is a law,
right.
A fundamental law that guides our decision-making process, empowering us to live a lifestyle of integrity and morality. So that's what these principles are designed to do. So we want to answer your question. My motive and my passion is to get these principles up in schools all across the country, billboards on the highways, so our whole society can have a common unity that's called community. This is a common ground that we can function by, and we can change the culture in our society. I believe that these principles are the power to do it. I've seen it in my own life. These principles saved my life. I've seen these principles save a human being that has been eating out of a garbage can, sleeping on the street, and change that person to become an acceptable, responsible, productive human being in our society today. These same principles, these principles are universal. They are not partial. It doesn't matter what a person's gender is, what a person's ethnic background is, what their age is. These principles are valid. So they set the stage for a common ground. We talk about, we hear a lot about, we don't like what we see happening in our community, right? And there's some processes taking place on Capitol Hill, and we need that, right? There's belief systems that people practice, right? But not everybody practices the same belief. Not everybody is affiliated with the same political party. These principles take all of that away. These are the common denominator. These are the common ground. And we can incorporate all of those practices founded on these principles and create a healthier society.
How do you get the youth to pay attention to these principles when putting them up in school? Do you think they're just going to look at them and be like, I want to be like that. I want to follow those. I want to get myself on that track. How do you get someone to incorporate these principles in their day-to-day lives?
That's a great question. So initially, they may not understand them. So there's going to be some education. We're going to create some contests and get people talking about these principles. In some of the schools, we are creating what we call APG groups, alternative peer groups. And they are talking about these principles, and they'll go through each of these principles. So what I've done is every month, because there's 12 principles, we focus on one principle. And so your peers,
right?
If you do something and they know that you are not telling the truth, they can ask you, was that honest?
Right.
So they start holding each other accountable because these peers have seen these posters. It's subliminal, maybe.
Right.
So let me ask you this. Don't think about an elephant. What did you just see in your mind?
An elephant.
Right. So it's automatic.
Right.
Now it may take some time, but once individuals start seeing the positive results, because remember, to inner peace. Okay, let me give you an example. If you run a red light, right? You don't have peace in your body. You're looking behind, you're looking to see the police.
Right.
But if you obey the law,
you don't have to worry about that.
Inner peace. Hello.
Right.
These principles work the same way.
How do you get the parents to understand that? Because it was started at the home foundation.
Right.
Parents instill that into their children. So how do you think you could get that across the parents to get that across to their children?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes in some households, it's going to take the children getting the parents on board.
Especially nowadays. Yeah.
Right? But that's gonna be on an individual basis. That's why I have these posters available so people can purchase them. They can put them up in their homes. We want to get them in schools. We even have a notebook now, right? So we want to partner with colleges and universities, so when freshmen come into the school, they can be given these notebooks with these principles, and they can be in front of them, because it's kind of like sowing the grass seed thick. The best way to keep the weeds out of any lawn is not just to spray them or to pull them up, but they sow the grass seeds so thick so the weed seeds can't take root. Because once we develop the habit of being honest, of courage, practicing courage and humility and forgiveness, they become a habit. And as human beings, we're creatures of habit. We can do it without thinking about it.
Right. So do these principles help you now on a day-to-day basis?
I still practice these principles in all of my affairs. Now, we say practice because nobody's perfect. Nobody gets these principles perfect.
Right.
But we practice them, and we continue to practice them where they become habits. And when we fall short, we forgive ourselves, right?
Right.
And we have the courage. See, these principles are like a waltz. Like it's 1, 2, 3. I practice the honesty, and that honesty to forgive somebody and be humble about it. And I accept the fact that these principles will produce positive results in my life. And I have the courage to continue, even when I fall short, to get back on and get back in the saddle and put these principles into practice. And it's ongoing. And this is something that we can pass to the next generation, right? Because they will always be valid. You know why?
Why?
Because these are divine laws.
Right.
And divine laws are inherent in creation. They never change. I didn't invent these. I just arranged them in a nice way. Right? And so my goal is to help individuals understand how to apply these in every situation in their life.
Well, it's nice and admirable to see someone like yourself just incorporating themselves in the community, getting involved, creating those stronger and healthier bonds with families and just friends and connections. Do you think that's helped you along the way as well?
Absolutely. There were relationships that I damaged during my days of active addiction. You know, my mom and my dad, they didn't understand. They loved me. They didn't understand what I was dealing with. There wasn't a lot of information back then about addiction, right? It's just like, why don't you just quit? They didn't understand. I didn't understand. For a lot of years, I didn't understand. But now, you know, I live a lifestyle that my mom and my dad and my family can be proud of. They haven't forgotten, right? They haven't forgotten. But, you know, the lifestyle that I live today, I practice these principles, and I am a responsible, productive member of society, right? And so I'm very grateful for these principles because they have changed my life.
That's amazing. Have you witnessed anyone else outside of yourself take these principles and apply it to themselves, and they go through a change, they go through a process, they've gained inner peace?
Man, you're asking some great questions. Absolutely. These principles are evidence-based principles. So let me give you the backdrop of how these principles came into being. Have you ever heard of a 12-step program, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous? Well, there were two guys, Dr. Bob and Bill W., who invented or created the steps. Now, they were a part of an Oxford group. It was a Christian sect. They had their own Bible-like. And they went into this Bible, and they pulled out principles, and they called them steps. Well, I went right back to the Bible and to the original principles, right? And so we know that Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous has saved the lives of millions of people. So yes, these principles are proven. We just haven't looked at principles informing our laws, informing our integrity and morality. We really haven't looked at that. But these principles apply to everybody because remember, addiction was just a symptom. It wasn't the cause. The root cause to the majority of the issues in our society today is a lack of self-government. And, you know, I mentioned the Bible.
Right.
There's a scripture in the Bible, Matthew 6:33. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, right? And all these things shall be added. Well, a lot of times that is not that directive is misunderstood because we don't understand what kingdom is.
Right.
The word kingdom is a word construct. It's two words put together. King, dominion. It's a king's rulership over a territory. You know what that's called?
What?
A government.
Right.
So these are laws. A government is made up of laws. A principle is a law to have everything added. So yes, there is millions of people whose lives have been changed, saved, delivered, freed, walking in inner peace today. Healthy families, healthy marriages, healthy, just change their life by practicing these principles. I've seen it.
And do you ever struggle with your inner peace sometimes? Like, whenever you struggle, do you turn back to these principles?
Every day. I have challenges. You know, the mission that I'm on, not everybody buys into my mission. And it's like, you know, sometimes I get challenged and I'm like, how could anyone deny that these principles are valid, right?
Right.
But some people do. And it hurts me to my heart. It's like, and some of these people sometimes have power over decisions. They can make decisions that these principles could help a lot of people. But because of who they are, right? Sometimes it doesn't resonate with them. And that's challenging and that's hurtful. But in my personal life, every day it's not peaches and cream. Just
right.
because I practice these principles, I still have to deal with life on life's terms.
Right.
Yeah. I have bills and sometimes money gets short. I'll go and spend some money I didn't need to spend, right? And now I got to I need to discipline. Right. We need to get some of that in place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I do practice these principles in all of my affairs.
Well, that's amazing. It's great to see someone who can just make generational changes, because this is not just a now generational change. It can go on after you're gone, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And does that make you proud?
It does, because what you just mentioned is called legacy. See, that's a mark of true leadership. And I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody else.
Right.
Everybody is a leader. Let me put this back over here. Now you're gonna make me get into some stuff now, boy. Talk, right? Let's do it. So I have a different philosophy on leadership. We bought into a philosophy that was created by the Greeks and implemented by the Romans, that certain people were considered to be leaders based on endowment, right? That's not my philosophy. And I've taken I've come to understand that everybody is a leader,
right,
in their area of functioning. You are next top model. You picture me walking on the runway.
Anybody can do it.
No. It's just like with me, my gift. I can talk. You can wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. But there's some people who, if you put them on a stage in front of some people, they are paralyzed. Mm-hmm. They can't do it. It's not their gift. So everybody is a leader in their area of gifting. And your gift is meant for me, and my gift is meant for you. That's called interdependency. That's how the Creator designed it. That we would all, each joint supplies, the Bible says. You know, and a lot of people say, you know, people may not believe in the Bible. That's their choice. I choose to believe in the Bible. I don't practice particular religion, but the principles, the instructions that are written in that book, they are valid. Right. And so I've learned how to use those principles to change my life, and now I'm using that to share with other people who may not understand how to use these principles so that they can live a higher quality of life. Because life is a series of decisions. Right. We make decisions based on the information that we have.
Absolutely.
And laws. Everything, listen to me, Kayla Scott. Everything functions by law. Everything, right? Everything was created by law. Everything exists on law. Everything functions by law, So unless we understand the laws, then we can't reach the level of success. Because if we violate a law, whether it's intentional or unintentional, it's still the consequences are built in the law.
Exactly.
So, and that's what we want to, we don't look to lead by fear, by scaring people. We lead by practicing these principles, right? So you are a leader over your gift. It's your responsibility to make sure you protect your gift and your purpose with these principles. Now, if you fall short, we're both practicing the same principles, so we help each other out. We have the common ground, common unity. There's no doubt in my mind that these principles can change the condition of any community in this country. Any school, a school is a community, common unity. They have the power to do that, absolutely, 100%.
And has your vision changed over time? You think it's gotten stronger, it's progressed?
Oh my God, I can't even hardly sleep sometimes at night. When I wrote the book, I had no idea of this. I guess if it was given to me all at once, I may have been scared, but it's been given to me in pieces. And I'm doing the next step. I'm taking the next step, right? And so now, there is no doubt in my mind that there are other people who will hear this interview,
right,
and they will also get excited, and they'll want to help promote inner peace in our schools and in marriages, in families, right? And get back to really a society that we can be proud of, that we can feel safe in. That's the purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you plan on writing another book?
Not at this point. That's not on the horizon right now. My main goal is, and my vision is getting these posters up around the schools in the country, around this country, on billboards, on the highways, in restaurants, so our society can continue to see these principles, and we begin to practice these principles. We begin to talk about these principles. We begin to live these principles, and these principles produce positive results in the lives of individuals, in relationships, marriages, because marriages create families,
right,
and our families create communities, and the community creates a nation.
Wow. I feel like you done dropped some knowledge on me here today. So how do people contact you that maybe want to contact you about being a motivational speaker, who just want to have a life coaching session with you, or even want to purchase one of your 12 principal posters?
I have a site, of course. In today's economy, if you don't have a website, it's like you don't even exist. So TalkManTalk.com, no spaces, TalkManTalk. And of course, I have all of the social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and all of those things. Right. There's certain areas that I focus on as far as my signature talks, I call them, that I speak on: leadership, substance abuse, principles of spirituality. As far as life coaching, I work with people who deal with addiction. I do relationship coaching. I even do leadership coaching. So, and people who want to understand how to apply these principles in their lives, I work with individuals like that as well. So, yeah, I'm out there. You can type me and Google me. Just Google me.
Well, Timothy, I thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to sit down and meet with me and catch the audience up on all that you've been doing as TalkManTalk. I wish you nothing but the best in all your success, and don't hesitate to keep us updated on all of your progress.
Well, Kayla Scott, thank you so much, and I certainly wish the very same for you. Keep training your gift so you can keep serving it to the world, right?
Right.
And what you do is, you don't do that for money, right? You do that to add value to people's lives. You know why?
Why?
Because when you add value to people's lives, they pay you. What's happening? Be well, okay?
You too.
Peace.